Jordan Poole time in Washington? A straight-up roller coaster. 1 minute, he's seen as the Wizards' next big star, their offensive centerpiece. The next, he's struggling to find his role. His efficiency is dropping, and frustration is setting in. When Poole first arrived, the plan seemed simple: let him cook. But instead of thriving, he found himself stuck, trying to fit into a system that wasn't built around him. Then came February 2024, and interim head coach Brian Keefe made a bold move. Poole was sent to the bench. At first, it looked like a demotion, but in reality, it was a reset. Keefe wanted Poole to take control of the second unit, to run the offense the way he was meant to, and Poole himself recognized the shift, saying, "I've been a point guard the last 3 years of my career. I haven't played in my position all year, just kind of trying to figure that out. I mean, if this is a way to try to get me on board, I guess that's just what we have to do." And just like that, Poole started looking like himself again. Against the Raptors, he exploded for 34 points and 5 assists, reminding everyone why the Warriors once saw him as their next star. But here's the twist. The Wizards are rebuilding, and reports say they're open to moving anyone over 24 to stockpile future assets. Poole, he's their highest paid player, set to make nearly $29,651,786 next season. That means his name is bound to come up in trade talks. So what's next? Is this a new beginning for Poole in Washington? Or is he just rebuilding his value before the Wizards move on? One thing's for sure, Jordan Poole's career is about to change again. The Washington Wizards haven't exactly been the talk of the league this season, and when they are, it's not for the right reasons. With a league-worst 12-49 record, they're firmly in the race for the number 1 pick in the upcoming NBA draft. Prospects like Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper could finally give DC a franchise cornerstone to build around as their seemingly endless rebuild drags on. Let's rewind to last season. Poole's first year with the Wizards. A complete disaster. His efficiency tanked, his rhythm was off, and he looked nothing like the offensive leader Washington thought they were getting. So, head coach Brian Keefe made a bold call, benching Poole after the All-Star break in hopes of lighting a fire under him. At the time, Tyus Jones was running point, but everyone knew he wasn't the long-term answer. The Wizards needed more from Poole, but the message was clear. If you're not producing, you're not starting. And Poole, yeah, he wasn't happy about it. "I think I made it pretty clear that we could have gone about it in other ways to get me going, instead of bringing me off the bench," Poole told The Athletic's Josh Robbins. But with BK, he made it very clear, and he was very adamant. He didn't agree with the decision, but Keefe stood his ground. And looking back, that moment might have been the wake-up call Poole needed. Jordan Poole entered the NBA as the 28th overall pick in the 2019 NBA draft.
Pick in the 2019 NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors select Jordan Poole.
Initially projected as a bench player with some scoring upside, many analysts were skeptical of the Warriors' decision to draft him. Despite doubts, Poole gradually carved out a role for himself, especially when injuries to key players allowed him to showcase his talent. During the 2021-22 season, Poole became a key piece of the Warriors' championship run, playing a crucial role in Steve Kerr's 3-guard lineup alongside Curry and Thompson. In the playoffs, he averaged nearly 23 points per game while shooting 46% from three-point range, establishing himself as an essential part of the Warriors' system. His rise seemed inevitable until an altercation changed everything. Following his fallout in Golden State and subsequent trade to Washington, Poole struggled to find his footing early on. The transition was anything but smooth, and questions arose about his ability to thrive outside the Warriors' system. After that rough start in Washington, Poole came into this season with something to prove. Instead of sulking, he locked in, working on his game not just for the team, but for himself. The Warriors had already given up on him, and at times, it probably felt like the Wizards were heading in the same direction. But Poole wasn't about to let that happen. Now, he's putting up 21 points, 4.8 assists, and 3.2 rebounds per game, shooting 41.8% from the field and 37.1% from deep. It's a reminder of why the Warriors once saw him as the future. But here's the catch. Despite his resurgence, Poole's fit in Washington is still questionable. He's improved as a playmaker and is making a real effort to involve his teammates. But at the end of the day, he's going to take the most shots as long as he's there. And for a team prioritizing a rebuild, that might not be the best thing. Keefe showed faith in Poole early, handing him the starting point guard role before the season even started. And while Poole has proven he's more than just an inefficient scorer, his long-term future in DC is anything but secure. Right now, he's working his way back from an elbow injury that's kept him out for a few games. But before that, he was averaging 23.8 points, 3.8 rebounds, and 3.8 assists over his last 5 games, showing glimpses of the guy who helped Golden State win a championship. Jordan Poole's been hooping lately, but let's be real. The Wizards are still one of the worst teams in the league. And now, Washington is facing a tough decision. Do they commit to Poole as a long-term piece, or do they capitalize on his rising trade value while they still can? Let's be honest, the most likely outcome? Poole gets traded. He's still young, he can score at a high level, and his contract isn't terrible for teams looking to add offensive firepower. A contender in need of a microwave scorer could come calling, and if Washington can land unprotected first-round picks, why waste Poole's prime years in a rebuild that could take forever? Looking back, Golden State might have made a huge mistake. They moved off Poole after one bad year, banking on their young core to step up. Imagine if they kept Poole, he could have been the scoring spark they desperately need. Instead, they had to go all in on trading for Jimmy Butler, an aging star with a massive contract. Butler is still elite, but was it worth sacrificing their future depth for a short-term fix? And then there's Draymond Green. This isn't the first time he's been at the center of a major departure from the Warriors. First, there was the infamous argument with Kevin Durant in 2018, where Draymond's harsh words reportedly played a role in KD's decision to leave for Brooklyn. Then came the shocking altercation with Jordan Poole in 2022, when he punched his young teammate during practice, an incident that fractured team chemistry and ultimately led to Poole being traded to the Wizards. While there's no question that Draymond remains one of the most impactful defensive players in the league, his influence off the court has undeniably altered the Warriors' long-term trajectory. His fiery leadership style, while valuable at times, has also created internal conflicts that the team has struggled to navigate. As Golden State looks to the future, the question remains, has Draymond's presence done more harm than good? The Wizards could use Poole's improved play to boost his trade value and accelerate their rebuild. If they move him this summer, it won't be because they're giving up on him. It'll be proof of how much he's rebuilt his reputation. Last year, his contract was considered one of the worst in the league. Now, teams might be willing to take a chance on him. Fast forward to now, and Jordan Poole's future in Washington is at a crossroads again. We've seen flashes of his Golden State self, but consistency is still an issue. With the Wizards locked in on a top draft pick, his role moving forward is anything but guaranteed. Will he prove he's the player Washington hoped he'd be? Or is another fresh start on the horizon? Should the Wizards build around Jordan Poole, or is it time to trade him while his value is high? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more NBA content. We're covering underrated players, big storylines, and everything in between. Thanks for watching, and catch you in the next one.